welcome everybody to our webinar. Just as a reminder, this webinar is being recorded so that it will be available on demand. This webinar will focus on how to stay connected with your chapter's online groups using the SACNAS member online community. My name is Eric Gutiel, and I'm the National Chapters Manager here at SACNAS, and with me is Daniela.
Hi, I'm Daniela Bernal. I am the Communications and Membership Manager at SACNAS. So in today's webinar, we're going to be talking about how to stay connected, obviously, with your chapter using the online groups function in the member online community that SACNAS has. So we're going to talk first about kind of the benefits, why this is an ideal platform for you to use. Then we're going to talk about how to actually find your group and join your group. And then we'll have a portion for Q&A as well at the end.
Yeah, so with that being said, community is something that we definitely highly value here at SACNAS, and we know that our members do as well. We conducted a chapter evaluation survey earlier this year, and 80% of our SACNAS chapter students essentially said that the reason they joined a chapter or continue to stay engaged with their chapter is because of the community and the network that's provided by the chapter. So today we're introducing chapter online groups within our member online community. We're super excited about this. Some of the benefits for our groups, and as we kind of go through this, again, we'll talk about like the main benefits of it, and then second half of the webinar we'll actually show you some examples so that you can have visually know what to expect. But we're really excited to use this because within groups, you're able to share messages to the entire member groups. You're able to have saved discussions that are organized by different topics, and you can also search for other members with the member directory. We do have a few different types of chapters. So as we'll kind of go through these, you'll kind of start seeing examples of different ones, but essentially we'll have one chapter group created for each respective chapter. So right now we should have 118 individual chapter groups. That will basically just be you and all the members of your respective chapter in that group. The main reason that we have these separated this way is so that you are able to communicate with your individual chapters and stay connected that way. We do have another group for our advisors. That's so basically one group with all the chapter advisors for the 118 chapters that we currently have. That group is really meant for advisors to be able to connect with each other, share ideas that are kind of at that advisor level. And then the third group that we have is essentially an all chapter members group. So this group is going to include all chapter students, all chapter members, and the advisors as well. We wanted to make sure that we did have a group that basically encompassed everybody so that you can be connected, not just with people within your own chapter, but you can also find out and communicate with other chapters across the country.
Okay, so we'll talk about now how to find your group. So the first step is to either sign up or sign in for your SACNAS membership. And if you don't have one, I'll talk a little bit about the different types and the differences in a little bit. But for the most part, essentially what you're going to do is start at sacnas.org. At the top right corner, there's a button that says member login, and that will direct you into the online community. If you already have a membership, it'll ask you to sign in. If you don't have one, it'll ask you to sign up. So once you sign into the online community, your screen will look a little like this. You'll probably be more on like the group feed or I should say the main feed or your profile. Those are more for the community at large. So for the purposes of finding your chapter group, you'll want to go to the groups tab, which is highlighted there. And this page shows the groups that you are a part of already and some available groups on the side. So you may see your chapter on this list under my groups, or you might have to go find it as well. So if you are looking for it, you can use this view all button kind of on the right side to see all the groups that are available.
Yeah, so with that being said, I would share that we did start adding some chapter members to their respective groups. So it's very possible that you are already associated to your individual chapter and the all chapter member group. But it's also very likely that we haven't gotten to everybody yet, and you'll just have to request to get associated to your respective chapter.
And so if you are doing that, once you click that view all groups, there's a little filter here and a search bar so you can type in the name of your chapter. It should pop up, and then you'll simply click this request invite button here. And just an important thing to note, again, the filter type would be student chapters that you're looking for, and then clicking that request invite button.
And can you remind us, Daniela, like what they should expect to see when they do click on the, like after they request?
Yeah, so once you request, you should get an email a little bit after that you've been approved or joined or accepted. So you'll likely get an email to your email inbox, and you'll get a little notification or a message, kind of like that red one that you see at the top of the screen.
Thank you. So I'll talk a little bit about the group feed. So one of the benefits, again, of having these chapter groups are that you can basically connect with each other and share messages, right? So the main purpose of that group feed is so that you can introduce yourself and just make general announcements to the group. Once you click on your respective group, essentially you'll see what's on the screen here. So the group feed will be kind of towards the top of the page, and then you'll have that kind of that square or rectangular dialog box where you can start typing your message, kind of similar to other platforms that you see on like social media. Once you post your message on there, if you scroll down, essentially you'll see like all the other posts that other members have shared with the group. So you'll be able to see all these posts. You'll be able to like and then comment to any of these posts, similar again to any other social media platform that you may use. The second thing that I want to talk about is group forums. So forums are a way to have organized discussions that are by different topics. And the important things that are these are saved. So the main difference between this and the group feed is it's like once you post, you'll kind of just start seeing them kind of go up, and they're not really organized, right? They're just kind of posted chronologically. So sometimes if you want to try to find something on the group feed, it could be a little bit difficult if you like don't remember exactly when you posted it, because then you kind of have to scroll through everything. So using forums is a really good way of kind of having organized discussions that way. So in order to find that, basically at the top right hand under the features block there, you'll see the forums option. When you click on that, you'll get redirected to the forums page. We've started a couple of different forum topics here as kind of like a starter point, but we definitely look to add more topics that are going to be relevant to people. So a couple that we have so far are virtual events. So we would like members to start sharing ideas of different virtual events that you've already done or that you're planning to do. And again, the main purpose of having these chapter groups is to have that collaboration within the SACNAS community. So we encourage you to really think about the different forums that you want to do. We also want feedback. So if there's like topics that you want to start, definitely let us know, and we can add those as well. But yeah, this is a good way, for example, if you want to share ideas of a virtual event that you're planning to do in the future, but you maybe want collaborations or ideas from other chapter groups or chapter members, is you can post on that particular forum there. And the really cool thing is that you can always go back to this forum and then you can find exactly what that conversation was about. And because it's organized in different categories, it's a lot easier to go back and reference discussions that you had again The major difference between this and the group feeds is the group feeds is just chronological. So it's like a lot harder to find things on there. So that's why we encourage the group feed just as kind of general announcement, but really using the forums for specific discussions. Yeah, that I turned over to Daniela.
Yeah, and then the last feature we want to share is the directory. So it's exactly what it sounds like. It's on the right-hand side under the features block as well. So once you click on that directory button, it's essentially going to give you a list of all of the members of that group. So you can use that little search button and actually look up and see if someone else is a chapter member as well. So when you're in the all chapter members group, you can find people that you're wondering if they're in a chapter as well. And once you click on the person's name, you actually will see their profile. And so this is a good reminder when you're, after this webinar, when you're signing into Explore, to really make sure that your profile is updated. You have all the fields filled in so people can see what institution you're at, what your discipline is, what your interests are, because through these directories, people will be looking for you. And I will talk about a little bit about how there's additional features if you're a paid member versus if you're a free member as well from this point. But for chapter purposes, this is really going to serve as kind of like a roster for who's in your chapter.
Yeah, so with this, I just wanted to add that definitely when you're within that all chapter members group, again, that is a way to be able to find other people, other chapter members, and see what chapter they're associated with. But for your individual chapter group, so for example, if you're at the UC Santa Cruz chapter group, you can use this roster to basically keep your chapter roster updated, essentially in real time, right? So that you can make sure that all of your chapter members, have a SACNAS membership, and Daniela will talk about right after this the different levels, but making sure they have a SACNAS membership, and then B, that they're associated to your respective chapter group, to making sure that they're being included in all of this communication as well.
So as far as membership, like we talked about, all of these groups are available to all of our members. So we do have a couple different types, and it'll vary a little bit on the features of what those types have access to. So if you are a Secnista level member, this is the free membership basic level. You have access to join these groups, search in the directory, look at people's profiles. And this is the option that's just free for as long as you like. The difference really comes in once you get to the paid membership. So the next one would be if you are an undergrad or a postbac or a grad student, I would encourage you to consider the paid student membership. All of our memberships are automatically renewed once a year. So these dues are per year. And the student one actually used to be $15. It just went a little bit lower to $10 per year. And this one is going to give you the ability, some extra benefits, such as when you're looking in that directory and you see a person and you click their profile, if you're at this level, you could actually send them a message, add them as a friend, send them a message, kind of like you would a direct message on social media. And then it also has additional benefits beyond the community. In terms of programming, you'd be eligible to apply for student programs in the spring, such as research presentations, conference scholarships, those kinds of things. And also you'd be eligible to vote in SACNAS board elections. And then for our chapter advisors, because I know we have a few of those as well joining us, you would go probably for the professional membership. Again, this gives you extra benefits in terms of being able to send those direct messages, but also apply for professional programs like our leadership institutes. And we just added another benefit of a discount on a posting on our career center. So this one is, again, automatically renewed every year once you sign up, and it's the $65 per year. I will say though, we have a few more options for professionals on our website. So if you go to SACNAS.org, We have a few other options that are a little bit higher for professionals. And one of those specifically does have the added benefit of a portion of your member dues go to a specific chapter of your choosing. So if you have the ability, I would encourage you to consider upgrading to a paid membership. If you're a student, you could also talk to your advisor or your institution about supporting your paid membership. And that way you'll have access to a little bit more benefits in the community.
So with that being said, we're going to transition now to our Q&A section. So if you do have questions, please, this is a reminder to submit them with the Q&A feature. And yeah, we're here to answer any questions you may have. So we know this is a new platform, so we're all definitely learning from there. So I guess I can stop sharing my screen for a second. I think there's a few questions that were submitted during the sign up, right, Daniela?
Sure.
We can address some of those.
Yes. So first question is, how can we connect to other SACNAS groups more regularly?
Yeah, so now basically that's our main purpose for having these online chapter groups, right? Is that you essentially can connect with any chapter member pretty much now at any time of the year and as frequently as you want. I think the more the better. So I highly encourage you to use that directory, just start reaching out to different chapters. If there's a particular chapter that you want to reach out to, but you're not really sure exactly who's in it, like you can go to that all chapter members group and you can just put a post in the group feed and say like, hey, I'm interested in, like, first you can introduce yourself, right? Like who you are, what chapter you associated with, and just let them know like, hey, I'm looking for collaborations with a particular chapter or chapters in a certain area. And then that can be a good way to kind of get connected. And then like, if you want to continue having more in-depth kind of conversations on a particular topic, then I would definitely encourage you to kind of go into those forums and kind of have your discussions in those organized ways so that, again, it's really easy for all of you, not just you as part of the conversation, but so that people later on that may not actively be part of that conversation can always go back and see what other chapters are doing. So it's a good resource for all chapter members.
Great. The next question we got is, will file sharing, web conferences like Zoom, and other forms of multimedia communication be available?
Good question. So with this feature, it doesn't have those tools built in. Really, we want to utilize this chapter groups community as a way to get connected with each other. And I highly encourage you, like, once you do establish those connections with other chapter members, then you can start using some other software or tools such as like Zoom or other video conferencing to then get connected with those chapters and like schedule meetings. Within the platform, you are able to, like, as Daniela mentioned earlier, is if you do have the paid membership, you are able to use the messaging feature. So you can connect that way, but once you do kind of get to the point where you want to have like meetings with each other, I definitely highly encourage you to set up a meeting using a separate communication tool, such as like a Zoom or other conference platform. Video conference, that's what I meant to say.
Awesome.
I think there's a question from Lupita Montoya, which says, will you facilitate or establish discussion groups based on topics instead of individual chapters? So do you want to address that, Danielle? I think we do have a couple of non-chapter groups, right?
We do. We have a few groups that were started for research presentations, like virtual, giving virtual tips and those kinds of things. and for writing abstracts and those kinds of topics. So like Eric mentioned, this is very new. And so we're kind of starting with chapters because that's already an existing network. But we're very open to feedback. So if you have suggestions for other groups that you'd like to start, definitely contact us. You can email me at members@sacnes.org, and we can have a richer option of groups with other types of discussion. And then I don't know if the question also is talking about having groups within the chapter or like other forums inside each chapter group of different topics.
I think for the forums, we can definitely create more within the chapter groups. And I'll talk a little bit more about it towards the end of the webinar to get feedback, but essentially, I think we created a couple of different webinar topics just kind of as starting points, but yeah, we definitely look to establish more topics as they kind of come up organically. So we kind of really want to know what groups are going to make the most sense to you. And then we can definitely start adding more as needed. So yeah, thank you for that question.
Yeah, good question.
I think I saw another question.
Oh yeah, follow up. Do you have groups set up for the Summer Leadership Institute alumni?
So that's a great question. I think that's further down the road. I think we essentially do want to utilize this platform and this tool for our leadership alumni to definitely use that as a communication tool. So I think our team is working on getting those all established. So definitely look out for that, as that is a plan that we have to get our LPSLI alumni on there. And again, as was mentioned in that previous question, we also look at establishing other groups that don't necessarily have to be specific to chapters. But yeah, we look to our community for that type of feedback of what's going to be the most helpful for you.
I have one more question that was submitted. What type of recruitment activities have been affected in remote chapter models?
Yeah, that's definitely a common question, especially in 2020, right? So I would highly encourage all of the chapter members watching this to definitely use that platform, right? So I can kind of give you some examples, but I feel like you're going to learn more from connecting with each other. So I highly encourage you to post those questions on the all chapter members group and get direct feedback from your chapter members, right? So I know some chapter members have been doing like socials, like getting together and kind of doing like game activities. So trying to keep it a little bit more casual and informal rather than having a lot of super structured professional development, which you still want to do, but it's a little bit more trickier now that we're on basically a virtual environment. So I've heard that basically some of the ones that kind of involve a little bit more informal, casual activities are been working relatively well. So I highly encourage you to reach out in that all chapters member group and definitely start on the group feed. And if you start getting responses on there, definitely move over to, I know there's a virtual events topic in the forum. So you could also try that and kind of have a discussion there. But again, this is what this platform is really meant for, right? It's like for you to be able to connect with other SACNAS chapters and really hear what works for them, what things they're struggling with, and really hopefully you can all collaborate. I think one of the great things that we learned, especially or really got reminded of in 2020, right, is that collaboration is going to be a lot easier now that we're all virtual, right? So it's like you don't necessarily have to worry about only connecting with people within your kind of region or area that you're physically located in now, but now you can take advantage that most people are virtual, and you can now really collaborate with a lot more chapters that are across the country. So super excited to use this new tool.
I would add to that now it's not just once a year or a couple times a year for those chapters who are able to attend the conference, but you have access to this community year round. So you're not limited by travel or timing or anything like that. You can log in right after this and search for someone that you think may have been in a chapter, maybe you met at a previous event and you want to reconnect with them.
So I think with that being said, unless I missed any other question, I think we can kind of start. Me go back to sharing my screen. Here we go. So I want to talk about next steps. So number one is basically looking for your group and really introduce yourself right in that group feed as we we're mentioning, and really just start getting familiar with the groups, and really just start exploring and sign into your membership. As Daniela mentioned, update your profile if you haven't used one already. If you're not already a SACNIS member, definitely check out the website and see what level is going to make the most sense to you. And yeah, definitely get signed in. The second thing is right after this webinar, there will be a survey. So we highly, I ask you that you please fill that survey out because it really helps us learn and helps us improve our webinars for future use. And for 2021, we do have a lot of chapter webinars planned. So definitely stay tuned for that. And then I also wanted to share is this is a new experience also for us. So we really want to learn from the community and hear your feedback on what works best, what things maybe are working well, what things need improvement, what new groups or forums that we need. So definitely please email us at chapters@sacnis.org with any feedback or just general questions you may have about these online chapter groups.
And then lastly, if you enjoyed this webinar and you have the resources, we invite you to consider making a donation to SACNIS before the end of the year. Your donation will go directly toward more virtual webinars and trainings like this, as well as supporting our chapters. So you can visit sacnis.org/give to donate or to find other ways to support us. And with that, thank you and have a good day.
Thank you.